I'm Alex.
And I'm Teddy.
And I'm Spencer.
And we are
The Button Mappers.
Hey, the Button Mappers.
Welcome, everyone, to the month of horror. Or is it horrible? We'll find out. This is actually the month of horrible gaming. Kind of a blend. I'm terrified. Thank you for that, Alex. For the month of horrible games, we have a very special guest who is not horrible in the slightest. One who we appreciate very much here on the Button Mappers. That is Mr. Fabrylon. Welcome to the Button Mappers.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for having me. Cannot wait to talk about horrible ball games.
Me neither. I'm glad you got to join too. We're like coordinating international time zones here. That's kind of amazing.
Yeah, I really appreciate you took the effort for that for my sake.
English isn't your first language, right?
No, it's not.
So the word horrible must be a really weird word to pronounce for you, because it's weird for us. So for you, I can only imagine. Yeah.
All right, Game Talk. So the way Game Talk works is we each bring a game that fits the theme for the month. And before we get to that, we answer viewer questions. At any time, you can leave us a question in the comments section on our YouTube page on the Game Talk video. Is it redundant? Leaving questions in the comments? Perhaps, but we don't entertain those type of ideals. The first one comes from...
Hold on, Teddy. Join our Discord. Okay, there you go.
The first one, thank you, Alex, comes from SNES Mapper, and it's actually a double pack question.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Bow.
Bow.
It's like an all-stars question.
All two. Question. Mario and Sonic are definitely the top two most popular mascots. What other mascots do you think round up a top 5 in your opinion? Let's let Fabrylon answer first. Do you have any particular mascots you think belong in a top 5 mascots?
Yeah. Obviously, I know that we're all thinking about Bubsy the cat. Or
Obviously.
First thing I thought of.
So let's get the obvious out of the way. What was the name? Wasn't the Sega mascot before Sonic completely stole its thunder? Was it called Alex Kidd, I think?
Yeah, it was me.
There you go.
Alex is a child.
Yeah. Don't remember that one when I was very, very young at times, but then it was all about Sonic. Because I think that's the cool thing of the 90s. The speed, the quirky comments, and all of that. So, but other mascots, I cannot think of many. Did PlayStation ever have a mascot that you guys know of? Because at one point they were all trying to get on that bandwagon, but then the whole idea of the mascot kind of died out, I think.
Yeah.
They kind of like traded around mascots because it was like Crash and Spyro, and then it was like on the PS2 the PS2 had like Ratchet and Clank and like Jack and Sly, and then like the PS3, I think it was just like Sackboy, really. And then
I think definitely by PS2 mascots were kind of out.
Yeah, they were kind of out.
Yeah,
but I could see Crash or Spyro.
Yeah, definitely Crash.
I think you could argue that, especially even between PlayStation and Microsoft, as we approach more modern gaming eras, the mascots, quote unquote, became more human in a sense, which kind of leads me to my answer. I think like the poster boy for Microsoft has always been, or not always, but for quite a while now, been Master Chief.
Blinks the Time Sweeper. Oh shit, sorry.
Yeah, you misread my lips.
It's definitely always been Master Chief.
Blinks the Time Sweeper.
And Minesweeper. Yeah, I know. I love Minesweeper.
It's Minesweeper.
And Cameo.
Yeah. Cameo is a good one. I do. That's rare. That's rare.
Remember Cameo?
Elements of power.
You guys kind of stole mine for the other consoles, but I guess in a way I would put Donkey Kong up there and then Pac-Man.
Ooh, Pac-Man's a good one.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to not repeat Spencer, I'd probably put like Mega Man. I think is a really good one.
Hmm.
And I also like Rayman quite a bit. And Clue Clue Land is the mascot of the Button Mappers.
Yeah, there are so many. I mean, I can also, now that you mention, what's it called, like Mega Man, I also think of Link in a way for Nintendo, you can argue, since it's such a pivotal series. Not officially a mascot, but still very associated with Nintendo.
It's a good
Teddy-
point too.
Teddy HBU. How about you?
Oh, I thought you were wishing me a happy birthday.
It's not what that means.
Thanks for asking. I would probably pick like, and this is weird because like, you know, it's as Fabrylon said, like, you know, we think Link nowadays even more so for like the Switch than maybe we've thought of Link for like other consoles, I think personally anyway. But I like to think of Luigi as kind of like a unique mascot in his own sense. Like on the GameCube, Luigi's Mansion was kind of new, and then he had the Year of Luigi, I think like in 2015 or whatever, where they were making a bunch of Luigi games. He's kind of a failed mascot. I don't know if he's top 5 material, but I do really like the idea of Mario's brother as his own kind of signature mascot.
Man, they kind of wasted the potential on that Year of Luigi thing.
Year of Luigi. Just love the sound of it. But I can definitely see Luigi as a sort of like, also perhaps the joke on the character. Oh, wait, I need to answer the phone.
Yeah, you know, Alex brought up an interesting point when he was saying Mega Man, because it made me think of, okay, we have console mascots, and then we have other mascots.
Yeah, like company mascots.
Company mascots. What about series mascots? Either Moogles or Chocobos for Final Fantasy.
Oh, I think it's
and then
slime.
And then for the slime for
Yeah, the
me and Teddy.
Love me a good slime. Especially on my pancakes. So, that's actually a great transition. I didn't even read this, but maybe it was subtly influencing me. SNES Mapper's second question is, waffles or pancakes?
French toast.
Not an option.
That's good. Pancakes. And if you vote otherwise, you're out of the podcast. It's that important to me.
Okay, way to set the bar. I would pick pancakes without the threat, but okay.
Well, waffles are just wrong. Okay, listen. Pancakes are delicious and spongy, and they soak up the syrup. Pancakes are just like, sorry, not pancakes. Waffles are just like hard and crispy, and then they just like the syrup just kind of like stays on top and becomes like two separate entities. So when you eat the waffle, it's like you're just getting like syrup and waffle, but when you're eating a pancake, you're getting like a pancake like with waffle, with syrup soaked into it,
Okay, 13-year-old me would have been very pissed at you with my Lego for breakfast every day. But anyways,
waffles suck. That's
Spencer, how about you?
Dude, my answer is going to be weird because I have a psychological aversion to breakfast food.
So which of these would you eat for non-breakfast?
No, I would not eat any of them.
Okay.
I don't eat cereal.
What?
I don't eat French toast. I don't eat waffles. I don't eat anything. I've had to struggle my adult life to get back into eating eggs, and I can only eat sunny side up eggs.
Oh, I love sunny side up. Man, breakfast is my favorite dinner. Like, honestly.
I like want to throw up when I see people eat it or when I just see it. So it's a weird quirk of mine, but I can't answer that question.
So vote for pancakes. Yep. Okay. Fabrizio?
Well, since there's the threat there, I have to say
Don't worry, I'll protect you. You will not get ejected from today's map or game talk.
Well, I honestly can eat both without any problem, but personally I prefer waffles. So yeah.
Disappointment.
Contain yourself, Alex.
It's the important topics,
Yeah, too. We do have a ton more questions, just so you guys know, especially from our next participant here, Mr. Terry309, and his first question is for Alex.
Is he gonna hold on? Is he gonna ask me like 6 details from an episode of your show from 5 years ago?
He's gonna ask me again, where I'm gonna say the same thing I said last time. Fun.
Just for Terry, I'm going to read it. Alex, as punishment for your cop-out, you have to answer the same question. Next game talk. What are your top 6 rewarding elements in order of importance to you? That question is for Alex. Go ahead.
That's not a question. That's a whole video. You know what, Terry? I'll make you a top 10. How about that?
There. Oh.
And I'll post it on my channel just for you.
Wow. You heard it here first, folks. All right. He also has some discontent about at this time that the video posts, the 2 months game talk, games or Sonic, whatever. We're going to go to the other questions. What is the worst PS2 game you have ever played?
Ooh.
Fabrylon, you got a good one?
I guess probably some sports game, I'd say, like one of those years, FIFA or something, since my best friend was still is obsessed with soccer, all of that, and I never really cared about it. So, but obviously I was kind of forced to play it and never been good, so I never really like, especially then. Now I'm more open-minded about certain sports games. But I also never really liked racing games. Like, that's a pet peeve of mine. So, like the Gran Turismo, stuff like that, never been my thing. But on the PS2 games that I own, I don't know, because I'm very, very selective with my games. I buy them knowing that I'm going to like them. That's the idea.
Right.
There's one that it's actually not that great that I bought, so all of a sudden it didn't really work out. It's called, I think, Draken or something like that. It's a sort of RPG kind of thing, and I would say like it looked very crappy even for PS2 standards, which I always try to look at old school graphics with like rose-colored glasses. But in that case, it was a bit too much even for me, and I don't know. That could be an answer. I think it's called Draken the Secret Gate or something like that. So this is sort of an obscure Western RPG.
Cool. Good answer. Like you, I don't play bad games. But if I did, I think the one, and like I don't have so many to pick from in the PS2. I actively phase out that library. But there's one that I play that kind of fits the theme here. It's actually a good game. And it's very unique in a sense, but I think it would fit under like the quote unquote horrible moniker. It's called Shadows of Destiny. Do you guys know it? It has like 2 names, one in Europe and one in America. It's like a 3D point and click adventure, I guess, but like your cycle, like if you die, it's like you have to restart the cycle. And it's got a bunch of like hilariously bad dialogue. It's actually one of the few games that I would consider holding onto my PS2 to finish, but
yeah, that's Shadow of Memories.
Yeah, that's the one.
I'm talking about, yeah.
It's a cool game, to be honest, but Alex?
Frogger the Great Quest took a game about a frog crossing the street and just shit all over it. Now he's a horny anthropomorphic frog who wants to kiss a princess, a human princess. It's gross. It controls really bad, and nothing makes sense.
Can you say the A word again?
Anthropomorphic?
Anthro?
I don't know, man. What am I, a fucking Frogger the Great Quest expert over here? Anthropomorphic. What is the antro? What is antro?
I thought at first you said andro.
Andro. I like anthropomorphic too. That's a big word, man.
It is a big word. You know what? I take back any criticism that was implied by that, and I commend you for trying.
Thank you. Just like Frogger the Great Quest tried to ruin the series.
There you go.
Spencer, worst PS2 game?
Okay, so I'll say Kingdom Hearts, because I was really wanting to play like good RPGs at the time, and I was like, oh, it's Square. It's kind of looks like Final Fantasy, and then it's got Disney characters in it. Whatever, I'll deal with that. And then no, I did not like it. But I guess if you want like a truly, truly bad game, Our Tonalico is like a weird RPG, and it is very perverted. And I just started playing it, and I was like, "Is this like a big joke?" And turns out it is. So there you go.
There it is. Tommy Tallarico.
Our
Tommy
Tornelico.
Shatterico.
Get it right. If you're going to criticize Alex on his pronunciation, you better get yours right.
Wait, what is it?
Our Tornelico.
Or Our Tornelico?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I don't. All right.
No, I'm joking. Terry's got like 4 more questions here.
Wait, but it's
Oh
not,
my
it's not
God.
spelled that way at all. Is it just like a weird Japanese thing?
Tornelico. No, because that's like American pronunciation. But I don't want to
It's
dig into the semantics.
Tonelico. There's no R in there.
Okay, I take back my criticism. What is your favorite Pokemon game?
Pokemon Sleep. I'm just kidding.
You can't take that back. There are no takebacks.
Oh, no.
Fabrylon, do you have a favorite Pokemon game?
Well, the only one I played is Pokemon Red, so I'll go with that one. The very first.
My answer too, Pokemon Red.
Can I count the card game?
Yes, you can.
Okay, well then a card game.
Which one? The physical card game?
Yes.
Okay.
Not the Game Boy card game thing, but like just actually playing the card game.
Yeah. My favorite. It's definitely not Sword and Shield. I like Emerald. Emerald's probably my favorite. Lots of post-game content, and
yeah.
the main game's pretty good. A lot of good
That's,
Pokemon still.
It's Gen 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd probably be my favorite of the classic games too.
There is a cool board game though. I don't remember what it is, but whatever. Favorite Mario spin-off?
Mario Kart.
Nice.
Ooh.
I'm a Mario Golf
Superstar-
fan.
Superstar Saga series.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too. The Superstar games.
Yeah.
You just does Yoshi count?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
the Yoshi the Yoshi platformers.
Yoshi's Cookie on the Game Boy. It's Alex's favorite Mario spin-off. All right, favorite
That's
Kirby.
not a platformer.
Favorite Kirby spin-off.
There's like 3 of them. Kirby Star Stacker, man, for the Game Boy. I fucking love that game.
Do you have one, Fabrylon? Do you know? any?
Never played a Kirby game actually, but as a spin-off, maybe I can say Super Smash Brothers. So I have an answer.
It counts. It counts.
That's my answer too. I've played 2 Kirby games, and one of them was because of this show. So yeah, it'll be Super Smash Bros.
Yeah, I guess Air Ride for me, but. And Terry's last question: favorite Pokemon spin-off?
Stadium.
What's it called? Those roguelike games, because I tried one of those, like
The Mystery Dungeon.
Yeah, the Mr.
Mystery
Dungeon.
Dungeons, yeah, because I tried one of those for a couple of hours. It's pretty fun, so I might go with that. So I played 2 Pokemon games, but I have answer for both questions. I'm perfectly prepared.
Yeah, that works. Spencer,
Snap?
nice.
I guess Pokemon Snap.
Oh snap!
Oh snap! Dragon Quest Monsters. All right,
Oh, that's a good answer.
It doesn't count.
it's fine. I'll take it. All right, moving on to the Turbo Zone. Q.
Turbo.
If Subway has a button mapper sandwich, what would it be comprised of, and why? Babylon, you want to take the helm on that one?
Go with spicy salami or something like that.
Ooh.
Starter.
Exotic. Okay, I'm gonna throw on the cheese. I would say like a solid Munster. You know, it's close to Monster, and we talk about games and sometimes RPGs. So Munster.
Spencer.
Oh boy, that's such a hard one.
Just throw a topping on.
I think it would have to be the club sandwich because there's all the different kind of meats in there that they throw in there. And then, yeah, mayo and pickles and all the good stuff. Like, it's just a loaded sandwich full of everything that you love. And maybe some things that you don't. I don't know.
I hate Subway, so I'm not answering.
You asked the question.
But moving on.
Maltamaster. So he first wants to know if he says something in the comments that shows up in the next episode. Correct, sir. And then I said it needs to be a question of some sort, ideally gaming related, but if you want to know our top 5 cheeses, we can do that too. So then Maltamaster responds, what are your top 5 cheeses?
Oh, shit.
This is where the plot thickens.
Gouda, Swiss, provolone, pepper jack, and cheddar.
Wow.
Are you just naming cheeses?
Yeah, but those are the cheeses most relevant to my life, so those have to be my top 5.
My life with cheeses?
I can't say brie. Like I've had brie cheese like twice. You know, I can't just be like you have brie. Like I don't eat that often. Yeah.
He was like a brie guy.
Yeah.
Freak.
Speaking of brie, Fabrizio?
I have no idea. There are too many amazing cheeses. I cannot answer that.
Can you answer 5 amazing cheeses?
Let me think.
Man, Parmesan is a very good one too.
Except Parmigiano, of course, it's the best thing in the world. Camembert from France, really, really good. Asiago from Italy, very good. What else? Let me think. Some sort of pecorinos, also from parts of Italy. Really like if you like salty cheese, delicious. Let's say since I live in the UK, I have to go with a British cheese. I go with Red Leicester because cheddar is too obvious.
Say that last one more time.
Red Leicester.
Red Leicester.
It's a sort of like orangey kind of cheddar-y kind of cheese, but apparently it's very different. But it's pretty good.
Dude, he made me look like an idiot.
Don't worry, I think the exact same thing right now.
It's cool. I use provolone on everything. So.
Oh yeah.
Mozzarella, cheddar, and I'll go. My exotic one would be ricotta.
Ah, yeah, ricotta. That's a good one.
But I don't eat much cheese. I'm close to being not pescatarian, Mediterranean diet.
Respectable.
Just
Okay, mozzarella. It's great on pizza, I gotta say. I love me a good Swiss on like a deli sandwich.
Yeah.
I do if I want a spicy cheese, I'm going pepper jack. And I mean, you know, cheddar is a classic, so I do love a good cheddar. But my favorite is probably Irish cheddar.
Oh, sorry.
Kirby cheese?
Kirby.
What? Irish cheddar.
Kobe.
Oh, Kobe.
Kobe.
Kirby. Okay, thanks, Maltamaster.
It's me, the metal cheeses.
If you had to get cheese from Kirby, how would you get it? Don't answer that. Let's go to the next question.
All right, we got a new user here on the Button Mappers. Welcome, Bucks Flex. When I misread it, I thought it said Butt Flex, but he's got KFC in the image. Q, what games are y'all planning to play during Halloween month?
I guess you'll find out.
Ooh, that's a good question.
All right, I had some that I didn't pick for this month, so I could like talk about those.
Okay.
It kind of like solidifies the pick I'm going to use for today, but that's fine. If I'm going to be perfectly transparent here, you know, I went back to work last week and I've been sitting in front of a computer screen the whole time I've been at work, so it's made it very hard to even like look at screens when I come home. But I did start playing Bayonetta, which I think kind of falls under that like horror-ish, like it's because it deals with witches and like spirits and demons, and so that was interesting. And then also under the Horrorable moniker, I don't think this game is necessarily horrible, although it's definitely antiquated, and that's Zelda 2. I was playing that on the Switch Online service, and I actually got pretty far in, so
That's impressive.
I would have been interesting to talk about today, but maybe in the future.
I love that game. So you can't do it during Horrible Month.
It's a great one.
Spencer has no comment. So.
Looks like shit. All right, I'll take your guys' word for it. I haven't played it, so I can't say.
It's dated,
Wow.
so. But
Are you a
anyways.
true gamer, Spencer?
Yeah, I think it looks like shit.
I thought you wanted to save the princess.
Spencer was too busy reading up on his English class.
Yeah. How to pronounce words.
Oh, yeah, I really love the font. It looks so good.
I'm gonna be playing. I meant to play it for this, but I got too busy. Costume Quest. I got 1 and 2 on Steam, so I'll be playing that. It's like a RPG with Halloween themes. Your kids wearing costumes. I heard it's pretty good.
If we're talking what I'm going to be playing during October, it's going to be Crash 4. Comes out in a second. So there's that.
Well, my idea was to play Galerians for the PS1 as a horror-themed game. I also need to play Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2, since I started this one ages ago. But dropped it for reasons. And speaking of horror games, I remember like up until recently I was playing Prey, also known as Bioshock in Space, on PS4, which is pretty good to say. So, but currently I'm playing Fire Emblem, so not very Halloween or horror themed, so that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Dude, is Digital Devil Saga like the most underrated PS2 series ever? Like, it is so freaking good.
It's really good. I'm impressed with that game, and I hope Atlus someday will remake those two, because I mean they look gorgeous with their own style on PS2 already, and I can imagine like since they're remaking what's it called, like Soul Hacker, I think.
Oh, Nocturne, I thought.
Nocturne, yeah, sorry. It would be awesome to have a remix of the Digital Devil Saga games, because they're really cool. The music is amazing.
Amazing.
And yeah, there is a bit too many random encounters, but I don't really care because that battle music is so cool. So
yeah, everyone talks about how great the Wind Waker looked, like when they're like looking back at those kinds of games, and they're like, "Man, the Wind Waker just holds up." It's like,
no, it
dude,
doesn't. The GameCube one does not.
I think it does hold up. I think it's great, but Digital Devil Saga looks phenomenal.
Yeah,
like I played that on an emulator recently. I was blown away. Like it does not look like it aged a bit.
I have a GameCube upscaler, you know, and it's a pretty decent one, and it's made a couple games look better. But I tried it with the Wind Waker, and you know how it's like you can look into the distance on the ocean. You can see fog like halfway towards the end point. So I personally, that's why I'm giving you pushback there. But with regards to Shin Megami Tensei, that is one of the most bountiful series on the PlayStation 2, and probably one of the only reasons like I sincerely want to keep my PlayStation 2. But it's just a victim of the console that it's on. I absolutely hate that. Great series.
It's a great series. I'm just scratching the surface of it, because up until recently, the only game I played was the Devil Survivors 2 on DS, which is really cool, but I never finished because it's too hard for me. But then all of a sudden I decided, well, I need to play more of these games. So I played Persona 4, and then started to play other games. And recently I really wanted to get into this Digital Devil Saga, and they're really, really cool. I mean, I love the style, I love the themes, the graphics, the press environment, and all of that. But they're a really fun game.
What did you think of Persona 4? And do I look like Chie? Because I'm trying to.
Kinda. No, it's a classic. I mean, it's a really, really cool game. I play Golden, of course, on the and I really enjoyed it. I mean, again, I really, really love, especially the characters, the interaction between them, and something I really love was the murder mystery story there. I really like that. When it started going into more the weirder stuff after the murder mystery, it kind of lost me, the story, even though it was great. But it's a great game. I mean, I think it took me ages to play it, but I played it and beat it. But it's one of those games that probably every RPG fan should play. Now I can say it, because before I'd never played it, so it's like,
Persona 4 and 5 definitely have a moment at the end of the game where it's like, oh yeah, we are a JRPG. So, so we're gonna go that way at the end, which is whatever.
I still need to play Persona 5. That's a crazy thing, because I'm patiently waiting for them to decide to release the stupid game on the Switch, even though they probably do it.
Oh yeah,
No.
Spectrobes.
I'm not waiting for that on the Switch. VG Mashup comes in next, saying, hello mappers, since we are nearing October, are you guys planning on playing any horror games this month? And if so, which one? Kind of similar to the last one, but, you know, specifically with the focus on horror?
Hmm.
I was gonna
Well-
try to play Parasite Eve, but that kind of fell out.
Oh,
Oh, I love Parasite. That's a good.
that's an amazing series.
I have already been playing the first BioShock over again, so I guess that counts.
Yeah, I bought that one recently, the collection. So I would like to play that. I don't know if I'll be playing it for October, but maybe if people want to hear our thoughts on it, that would be cool.
Yeah, it's a great series. I mean, I haven't played it to completion, but it's really, really cool. Yeah, as I say, like if you want to play the space version, just play Prey. It's just one thing.
I'm not down with that new Prey because I played the original Prey on the 360, and then they like announced the sequel, and then they like put it in limbo for like 10 years, and then they were like, "Never mind, here's another Prey," and I was like,
Not that Prey, the other Prey. Maybe
"Yeah,
PS4.
yeah, I know," but I'm against the PS4 version because
Dude,
they put the sequel into limbo for so long.
I will tell you, the Arcane Studios made one of my favorite games ever, Dishonored 2. So I bet you that Prey is pretty good.
Well, like Dishonored Poo. They also made Wolfenstein Young Blood, and that game kind of sucks.
Did I hear Spencer say his favorite game of all time is Sonic 2?
Don't put that on me.
I love BioShock though. This is actually my third time playing through it completely, so I love BioShock so much.
Yeah, it's great.
All right, we got one last viewer here coming in with some questions. Matt Wheaton. What's up, Matt Wheaton? Good to see you here. The first question, do you guys play mech games? And if so, what are your favorites?
Mech games.
Mech games.
I don't, but if I did, or even without wanting to or not, but like I really want to play Xenogears someday.
I played the Mech Warrior games on the original Xbox. That's like the only ones I can think of.
I played one of those as well on the Xbox. Recently I actually played Zone of the Enders.
Yeah, Zone of the Enders is awesome.
That was really cool. And also I pre-ordered the 13 Sentinels on PS4. That's supposed to have mechs, I think, giant robots, which looks very nice since I love Vanillaware. So, but other than those, I don't think so. Because I don't think there are that many.
I want to play Daemon X Machina on the Switch. I haven't gotten around to it yet, though.
I historically hate mech games, or the concept of mechs. But I guess if I had to pick one,
fuck, Spencer.
Well, I don't do anime.
Robots.
Anime. That's anime shit. I don't
I
like
don't even
anime.
care if it's anime, dude.
Fuck anime.
Robots are awesome.
I would pick the Xeno series, so Xenosaga, Xenogears, and Xenoblade.
Yeah, it's respectable.
Very much.
Yeah. Is Beyblade a mech? Because I like Beyblades.
No, that's a.
Is Samus a mech?
No.
Because I like Metroid games.
She wears a mech suit.
Is
That's
Yoshi
not a mech.
actually a mech?
He wears a mech suit.
Like a Mecha Yoshi.
Mexico? What?
There actually is like a robot Yoshi in a Crafted World. So I guess that's your favorite mech game.
Kirby Planet Robobot.
There
Kirby
you go.
Mech
That's actually a mech game.
confirmed. All right. Good first question. Second one. Who would you consider the most badass JRPG protagonist? I'll go first. I don't know if I have such a huge repertoire to pull from, but I do really like the protagonist from Dragon Quest V. I think his like backstory is respectable. This kid like loses like people who are really important to him throughout the story. I think at one point he gets to pick between like 3 wives, and then like he also like has a cheetah as a pet. So like there's some badass stuff going on there.
That's a really solid choice. I would probably say for my favorite series, Ryu from Breath of Fire, the whole spectrum. Since love the series, he can turn into a dragon. That's pretty badass. Various kinds of dragons. So that would be my cop-out answer there.
Turns into a dragon is a good criteria.
Yeah.
Man, that's a giant question to just toss out.
Yeah. It really
I will say Joker from Persona 5. He is freaking stylish and cool. and not whiny. I think not being whiny eliminates like almost all of them.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Final Fantasy 12. I know the actual protagonist is Vaughn, but he fucking sucks. The real protagonist is Balthier, and he's fucking awesome.
Yeah, he's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Multi is cool.
And the last question to wrap up the Q&A portion of today's Game Talk. Favorite video game characters? And why is it Kazuma Kiryu from Yakuza?
I don't know who that is.
Never play Yakuza, so.
Sorry.
Very video game character. Wow.
Characters, it could be like multiple, or like if there's any that are just kind of on your mind.
Makes it so much easier. Well, the first I can think of, one of the most memorable character of the last couple of years for me was Oliver from the Legend of Heroes series.
Yeah, it's not a series I've dabbled in. I hear so many things about it. I don't know if it's for me, but why Oliver?
Primarily because he's hilarious, because I like funny characters. But he's also, the more games you play in that series, the more you understand how important he is, especially for the Cold Steel games. That would probably be my pick. It's when it comes like in the first game in the series, he completely steals the show with like all the nonsense he says, but in a great way. So I would probably say him for now.
Yeah, good pick. For me, I think I can argue Kazuma Kiryu kind of similarly, because even though he's like a very stern and serious character, he's actually really funny with like, especially in the sub quest throughout the Yakuza games. He ends up doing some ridiculous stuff, and you just get to see so many sides to him. Spencer and Alex.
I would say Harlequin, or Ken, how you pronounce that, from Chrono Cross. I think she is a very interesting character that kind of links together a couple pieces of the story in a very confusing mess of a story. But she, I just like how she brings you in and becomes a friend, and then, has her own secrets. So very complex.
Travis touchdown. That's my favorite game character. He's quite literally like a mirror held up to the player, because he's a very violent, nerdy character who thinks he's cooler than he is. And it's every every player playing a character action game, basically.
Travis touchdown from the Mutant Football Muds.
What?
On the Sega Genesis.
What the fuck are you talking about?
From NFL 94, Travis touchdown.
What are you talking about? Oh, football, because it's touchdown.
Hey, we're heading into Super Bowl season here, so,
We are?
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know. I don't follow that shit.
Wait, is it January?
I don't know. Is it? It's NFL November. Well, that's the next month. That's the theme for next month.
I love sport ball.
All right, that's the Q&A. Great episode, guys. But we're not done. We're heading into the game talk. I just want to pause real quick and say, listeners at home, if you're not, you should go check out Fabrylon's channel on YouTube and go subscribe to him. We'll have a link in the description below. But with that being said, we're going into game talk for horrorable games. Now, the criteria here is it could be a horror game, or it could be horrible, or it could even be both, technically.
Yeah.
And bonus points, right? And we'll find out after the person is done talking about it. Now, as is tradition with Game Talk, we let the guests talk about their game first. So, Fabrizio, what game have you chosen for today's Game Talk?
Well, let's start with the horror part, then with the horrible. As the horror, as we're heading toward like Halloween and all of that, I had to go back to my roots and to the good old days of survival horrors on PS1, which is still among the horror games my favorites. And a personal favorite there, what I think is truly a gem of that genre, is the first Dino Crisis. So I'm going to go with that for the horror-themed games. Because at that point, I was really much into the Resident Evil games, since those were the games that introduced me to the survival horrors. But then when I saw on magazines the possibility of playing the same game basically but with dinosaurs instead of zombies, I was like, wow, this is the greatest thing ever. And especially as you play the game, which is a bit better than say Resident Evil 2 gameplay wise, but it still has the chain controls, which I really like, has these fond memories, but I haven't played one in ages, so maybe if I play one now I would hate it, but that's another story. But I really like that gameplay style, and it's slightly more fluid than Resident Evil 1 and 2, so it's a bit better there already. Then, especially once you get into the story of that game, you realize how bonker it is. It's truly special. This pure, like, B horror movie kind of plot in that game is just it's a joy to witness that game. But like the horror effect with the dinosaur, I mean, it's the blessing and curse of that series, since I would say it's also responsible for killing it progressively, but we can talk about that later. But I would definitely go with the first Dino Crisis, a fantastic survival horror game on the PS1. It's also being remade on the, not really remade, was ported on the Dreamcast, and I don't think everywhere else actually. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's my choice.
What's the story?
The story, it's basically there is this special operation team, and they have to basically abduct this scientist called Dr. Kirk, who is conducting experiments on alternative energy called the third energy. And basically, you discover that because of these experiments, they open the portal in space and time from which the dinosaurs have arrived. It's amazing. And it's mainly focused on that. But it's truly, as I said, it's madness, but in the best possible way. I mean, by that point, you forgot the horror. It's mostly comedy, I would say, when you enter in these portals and you realize there's time travel involved in the second game. Mwah, magnifique.
It's funny. This game was made in 1999, and the game takes place in 2009. So their assumption was that in 2009 we would have invented some kind of portal that could enable time travel and that could enable dinosaurs to come meet with us. But really,
Yeah.
we were inventing like Twitter.
Yeah, all we had was Lady Gaga. Let's be honest.
I mean, there's a bunch of dinosaurs on Twitter from what I know. Was this game branded as survival horror? And if so, to what extent does it try and implement elements of horror and surviving?
Well, like most Capcom horror games, the horror comes primarily from the jump scare. So, and because it's not really. Oh, no, then I think about it. One creepy element, creepy, depends on the player, I would say. But one thing that I liked about Dino Crisis is that it's very claustrophobic compared to, say, Resident Evil 2 in particular, since it primarily takes place inside of this sort of like military base with the mandatory underground laboratory and all of that. So the ore also, like, it was very like gory for the time. So at the beginning that you see the first dinosaur, you also see like a soldier's like dismembered, and there's this scene, it's hilarious, with the main character just looking at this mess of what used to be a person, and it's like, well, that's disgusting, like with the zero emotion. Basically, it's just that brilliant voice acting on the PS1. You have to love it.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's still tight corridors like Resident Evil.
Yeah, I remember sometimes, but I remember Resident Evil, I primarily remember it for like running around the city and was the police station in Resident Evil 2. But I remember like sometimes like with Dino Crisis, you also have to go into like air vents or again like underground. I remember being quite claustrophobic, and that's one of the reasons why I think it was a bit more horror-ish. Plus, again, a great soundtrack. It's always very useful in this game, even for survival horror, which the music is not in the forefront, but it was very effective.
Yeah, I remember this when this game came out. I was expecting just like a reskinned Resident Evil, but it was actually a and was just like, oh, it's just gonna be kind of a cash in. But I was surprised by like how good it actually was. Like it's not just a joke.
Yeah, if you think about it, it is kind of a cash grab and a reskin Resident Evil, but it's done, I think, so well that it kind of makes you ignore it in a way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
alternative.
absolutely. It hides it really well.
Yeah.
It is a good game on its own, which is pretty cool.
It's
And
kind
it's-
of sorry. It's, I was gonna say it's kind of strange that like Capcom hasn't brought it back for like a remake or anything because I mean after that like shitty third game they haven't touched the series really.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I mean, it's my most wanted remake from Capcom. Like beside Breath of Fire, which is never going to happen, but I always wanted like for them to bring back Dino Crisis in a proper way, like kind of like what they did with the original Resident Evil. I always imagined Dino Crisis in that fashion would be amazing, and even as say Resident Evil 4, so with the more action routes, I would say it would still be fantastic because it's a really good game, and it will work very well in more like traditional survival horror, which I don't know if it's gonna fly very well today with like the mainstream and all of that, but or in a more action like skin, as I said, like Resident Evil 4 kind of thing, it would be work very well for Dino Crisis. But yeah, the series was completely butchered by the third game, which is horrible. I remember I was so excited by the game when it was released, and then I played it. Like, what happened?
It's funny that Bruno kind of opened up our questions with like the idea of mascots, and like I think when you think Resident Evil, there's like a ton of, like all the main characters there are kind of like you can identify with them in a way, but I don't know like. I've heard of Dino Crisis, but there's no character that I associate it with. So I think in a sense, you may be right. Like as a marketing decision, would this game fly with modern audiences? And if so, how would they do it?
I will say primarily like gameplay-wise in a way, and because they did such a good job with the remake of the first two Resident Evil, because I haven't played the third one, and I haven't played the remake of 2, to be honest, but I saw plenty of videos and it looks amazing. So I would say maybe do something like that. It can work very well because it could also allow them to expand the scope of the first game. Because I remember reading an interview with one of the designers of the game. They say they wanted to do a whole section into a jungle because this game takes place into this base, which is on a small island, I think in the Caribbean or something like that. So they wanted to do that, but they couldn't at the time because the PS1 couldn't do that, or it would be horrible. So that would be cool to have dinosaurs in the jungle. Like I can already imagine like a night jungle with the fog and weird noises, and then like a velociraptor jumping at you from a bush. That could be cool. So primarily, I would say marketing at that crowd that bought the Resident Evil games, because by this point they remade most of the series. So I don't know what else they want to do with Resident Evil. So it would be a nice change of pace to do something slightly different. Plus, since you mentioned Resident Evil has so many like relatable characters. It's kind of the same with Dino Crisis because Regina, the main character, is really cool. She's a personal favorite character of mine, which I don't know why I didn't think about it in our previous question about great characters. I mean, I always, especially as a kid, I had a major crush on her because like she's a badass, like hunting dinosaurs and traveling through time with this bright red hair. Was like so unique. In fact, I like her so much that even to this day, whenever I had to create a character on, say, an RPG or something, I always use her as my skin, basically. I always have like this female character with short red hair and call it Regina. So spent 5 minutes in creating characters. I did this, for example, for Mass Effect, and it worked fantastically. I have to say, really like that version of Shepard.
Yeah, she's on both the covers. I remember that very, very vividly because I have both those games. I haven't played through them, but I do remember the character though.
Yeah, it's very, I would say, very memorable. Also because since the game is so dark and everything, you have this character with bright red hair. It's kind of like noticeable in a way. The second game is also, it's a cool sequel. It's not as good as the first one because it's primarily, again, it's very heavy on action. It's almost a shooter game primarily. You run around killing tons of dinosaurs and getting points so you can buy a weapon, bullets, and everything. So the survival horror element is gone by that point. But it's a very fun game. brought like the same kind of idea of the plot, but on steroids, with even more time travel nonsense. But the thing is that it ends on a cliffhanger, and then we had the horrible Dino Crisis 3. It was such a tragedy.
Yeah.
Because the possibility for a real third Dino Crisis were just endless to me. So I don't know how Capcom messed up that series so badly. I mean, I know what happened. Most likely they had this shitty, like, generic sci-fi game, and say, no, this is not going to sell very well. They just put dinosaurs, call it Dino Crisis, done. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Would this game have been much shorter if they called in Torok?
Maybe.
Okay.
It sounds fun though. I want to try. I've never played it, so I'll have to look into it.
Highly recommended. If you're into those old school survival horror, it's really good.
All right, fits the theme. Fits the theme of the month. I see it falls more on the horror side, but I see where the horrible falls in with the series. Thank you for sharing. Who would like to go next?
Mine should be pretty easy.
All right, Spencer, tell us about why you think Breath of Fire is horrible after Fabrylon just touted it.
Oh my god.
I'm just messing with you. If
right.
you pick something else, go for it.
I have on the record said I didn't like it, but I've only played the first and the second. The second was better than the first for sure. I heard the third was really good, but I never got to play that. So we're getting that out of the way. But the game that I played was White Knight.
Ooh.
Oh, the PS3 game?
Mm-mm,
Or no?
not that one.
What, okay.
What is this? Some SJW
What is
Twitter
this?
stuff? Are you white knighting?
I was thinking of the PS3. Oh, that's like Chronicles or something, right?
Oh yeah, White Knight Chronicles. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a game called White Knight. It's on Steam, and I think it's actually on mobile now, which is kind of weird, but it was originally on Steam. And it is a survival horror adventure game. So there's no combat in it. It's just like almost like a point and click adventure without the clicking. Like you walk around and solve little puzzles. It's very, very old school in concept. You get in a car accident and you're stumbling around looking for where to go, and you find a mansion and it's haunted and there's ghosts in it. What makes it stand out is it is a very stylized game. It's all in black and white, and then you have a lighter for your cigarette, and that is your light throughout the game. And the light is like orange, like fire. And it kind of guides you through, and so you're kind of playing the shadows the entire time. It's very, very cool looking, and that's really that could bring you in. But I think I am not a huge horror fan, both in movies and in video games. I don't think horror is really done right almost always. And this is, I think, a prime example of it. It's that I think what it lacks and what a lot of games lack in the horror genre is stakes. I find it very hard to be afraid if I have nothing to lose. And in general, with this game, while it is spooky and it has the scary elements to it, and certainly at the beginning, you're kind of like, oh, I don't know what to do, and I'm scared, and yada, yada. Very, very quickly, you realize that it is just if the ghosts kill you, you just walk back in, because you just, I mean, there's no lives or anything, like you don't lose anything. So I admire the game's style, and I give it many props for that. It's definitely an indie kind of game, so they didn't have a big budget to make, like, couldn't give them a rocket launcher, I guess. But yeah, I think in the end, it doesn't really fulfill a horror part of it where it's actually scary, and then it just becomes a puzzle game.
Are you saying that in the end it didn't even matter?
Exactly. I mean, they tried so hard, they got so far.
But yeah, it is kind of a element to consider with horror games in general, because since the beginning, even with the old horror games, there's also the idea like once you're dead, you can just restart. So that's it's kind of a thing with games in general, let's say. But I really like the idea of like the game being in black and white and the lighter being your only source, not only the source of light, but also of color. That's a nice touch. I like that. It really reminds me of those what's it called? Amnesia: The Dark Descent in a way.
Yeah.
Especially with the light being very important and the fact that you cannot fight back, which it meant for a while that was the new standard with horror games. I remember plenty of those like gave you nothing, and it's cool that it enhanced the proper survival elements, but in a way it's kind of like, I don't know, it's cool, but probably because there were no stakes in that game as well, it's kind of like immersion breaking. I don't know. I really like Amnesia. I have to check this one. White Knight, not Chronicle.
Not Chronicle.
Not Chronicle. Yeah, that looks way different. I was looking some stuff up. This does have that kind of cool like Sin City aesthetic, I guess. Yeah, I don't know.
I already played Mad World.
Was it very, very Mad World?
Mad World.
Enlarging your world?
I find this game kind of funny, but I also find it kind of sad.
Just like Spencer.
All right, I'm next. You know what? I had a game that I wanted to talk about that I started on Wii U, but I honestly don't. I have enough to say about it, but when you were talking about this game on Steam, it made me think of something I finished recently, which was Limbo. And Limbo's like kind of that 2D scary platformer, and I think this was like really big. It was released in 2007 because it came out like on Xbox 360. So I remember like my friend Gavin, when I used to live in Hawaii, and he would like have his 360 up, and he only played Battlefield, and he would play Limbo sometimes, and he would be like, this is the coolest game ever. It has like these elements of horror. It almost looks like I don't know, not like Pixar-esque, but something like you might see in like, you know, one of those kind of like pixelated movies or whatever.
Yeah.
Limbo is like a 2D platformer where you have to trigger certain events to happen so that you can keep progressing. Otherwise, your guy gets viciously murdered. And it's really kind of counter to like this kind of cute art style. And like Spencer's game, this is all black and white. And what you do is, I guess you're basically going through like the stages of limbo or hell, and you're trying to find your way to the light. You're like just this young boy. And it's I think in the beginning, the suspense is really there. Like you really feel that sense of horror. There's like, I remember this scene with like this huge spider, and it's like it's not even moving, but as you approach it, the legs start moving. And you know, I remember early on too, it's like you can walk into traps, and then what happens is the game kind of transitions to a more industrial feel. I think where it kind of fails and loses the horror sense is that as you progress through the game, like you can die a lot, but you're so desensitized to it that it doesn't make me have any kind of jump scares like in the second half of the game, especially. You know, there are some creepy elements, but you can tell this is like one of those first early examples of like a modern indie game that was successful at what it was doing. I just don't know how well it maintains its sense of horror. I don't know why I felt like particularly compelled to talk about this one today. I think just maybe because like it's still fresh on my mind, and you know, I remember having the headphones on, and I could really feel the tension as I was you know, descending into the pits of hell.
How low can you go?
That's Limbo, you know, to get the stage.
I adore that game. I love Limbo.
Yeah, well, you know,
It's like I never really saw it as a horror game. I guess I saw it as more like if I'm thinking horror, I'm almost thinking more like a Tim Burton horror, where it's like it uses horror elements to tell a non-horror story, if that makes sense.
It does, yeah. It's a good comparison actually, because it's very like aesthetic horror in a way.
Yeah, and yeah, there are I was gonna say horrible. I mean, I guess maybe to some people there are, but there are horror like situations, like the spider when it like literally jabs through your head. Like it just goes like that and just lifts you up and I think tosses you. It's been a while, but I think that was one of them. I mean they're there, but yeah, it's and I love the weird like industrial twist because I almost picture his death or his life something had something to do with that, and they were trying to tell like something that kid went through or something.
There's like a very meaningful close to the game where I think it's like you end up in like the real world or something, and that's where the credits roll. It's like when you finally, emerge. But I think like at one point, like you're chasing like this girl or something, and I think that's also kind of. This doesn't always work for every game, but it works for some games where it's kind of like you get to kind of create the narrative of the main character in your own head. And I think like you're insinuating here, like with that boy, there's so much he goes through. It's like, what did he do? How did he end up here? Who are these people? How did these people get down here? It's like a story that's not told, that's told.
Yeah.
In a way, even if I admit I never played Limbo, but again, I saw plenty of videos on it. It almost feels like a sort of nightmare kind of.
Yeah.
Like this boy's nightmares are kind of like that, and escape from those. So that's what really reminds me, even though I've never played it.
One of my biggest frustrations is that it becomes more of a platforming challenge towards the second half, and like it really slows down the pace at which you experience the story. Do you feel that way, Spencer? Alex, have you played this?
I have not, but I watched my mom play it, oddly enough.
Gets more challenging. I don't know if I didn't like that. Like it becomes, to me, it became more of a platformer puzzle game, which I was cool with it. And a lot of what I liked was that a lot of the solutions were devious at times. So I kind of like that. It did slow down. I think it just had an escalating difficulty, which I thought was fun. It was what, like 3-4 hours?
Yeah, it's a short game. The puzzles are intuitive too. I only needed to look at a guide for like 1 or 2 portions of it. But like really figuring out like it's in that nice zone where it's not so easy that everything's just like lined up for you, but it's not like so outrageously out there that it's like, what do I do?
Yeah, and it uses gravity. Like it's got like an actual physics-based system to it, which is nice.
There's a really cool moment in the industrial sections where it like toys with the gravity and like how you're jumping and running. I don't know if you remember that part, but I won't talk about it.
It's vague, but I remember all like little things about that.
Things start rotating and it's crazy.
Like when I think of like really good indie games, that's probably at the top of my list of games that like the budget worked to make a really good project, and that's what it is. And I like that a lot. I think they did everything they could with that small concept.
I don't know. Ever since Braid, I've played so many of those like indie puzzle platformers. It's just like now, whenever I see one, I'm like, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
It's Limbo. I've never played Limbo, like the actual physical game. Like return.
Can you get on low?
Not even when you were a kid. Like I played it when I was a little
maybe.
kid.
I don't remember. It's been a long time.
And I played it as a little kid, and I was like, oh man, I better get good at this because I bet everyone's gonna play this when I get older. Like all the adults seem to be really into it.
Very important thing in adult life.
Kids these days don't even know what the Macarena is.
What?
Just saying.
Put that on your TikToks.
The Macarena. That's Limbo in a nutshell.
Cool.
Alex.
Cool. Well, we've had dinosaurs, we've had ghosts, we've had party games. Now we're moving on. I wanted to play something interesting that I haven't played before, that I had bought for cheap, and I thought maybe it'd be a good connecting point with me and Spencer. Maybe I get to understand Spencer a little better. I played a game on my PSVR called Arizona Sunshine. From Arizona. It's a zombie first-person shooter adventure game. From what I what I could tell, I'm playing it now in 2020, but I believe it was on the Oculus and whatever else on PC back in like 2016, and then I got a port on the VR on the PSVR, and it's like one of the earliest examples of like doing a full first-person shooter zombie game in VR, and like you can definitely tell the story itself's very bare bones. You play as a survivor who is just looking for other survivors. You pick up like a clue on like a radio broadcast, and you kind of go from like area to area, like picking up more clues until you finally find some other survivors. And what really like makes this game stand out, I think, is the location. It takes place in like these harsh, like deserty, like red deserty areas. You go through like really bright outdoor segments where you're walking down highways. You're going through like these like rocky looking mountainy like desert areas. There's one really cool section where you go through these super dark mines, like these like mine tour area, and all you have is like this very small flashlight that just shows you what's ahead of you. And playing that in VR is kind of freaky, because you kind of feel like you're just surrounded in darkness, and so like any way you look, that's like the only view you get. And it was very fun. There's like a military base you get to go through. Very short game. It's like 4 hours long. There is some DLC, but I didn't play it. What makes this game fun for me was just playing a first-person shooter that felt like it had some sort of like a campaign in VR. I played using the PlayStation VR aim controller, which is like the gun controller for the PS4. And it is like tailor-made for first-person shooters. I've only ever used it with Doom VR and Farpoint, which it came with. And it made this game feel like, I don't know, like more immersive, because it really feels like you're holding the gun. You can move the controller around, and and the gun kind of tracks it and stuff, and it feels like you're holding something. So it did kind of bring me into the world. So that was fun. The only thing I didn't particularly care about, like during the story, was the voice acting. It's kind of bad. You get this like really good feeling of like isolation, and I guess to like counter that, they wanted the main character to talk to himself the whole time and be kind of like snarky, but like it comes off as a little heavy-handed and not that funny. Like he calls all the zombies Fred for some reason, so he's like, "Come on, Fred, let's go!" And then the zombies be like running at him and stuff, and he's just always talking to himself and like making dumb jokes, but like, I don't know, none of it is funny, and none of it feels like what I would say in that sort of situation if I was by myself. I wouldn't just be like, "Oh wow, that was something," I'd be like, "Holy shit, what's going on?" I wouldn't just be like, cracking jokes like Deadpool or something. I'd be, actually trying to survive. So that was a little awkward. Also, the graphics aren't amazing. I hear they're better on the PS4 Pro. I'm playing on a regular PS4, so the visuals could use a little work. Other than that, though, I think like it's a good blueprint for what a first-person like shooter horror game could be in VR. It is a very short game, but like I think the gameplay is there. Actually, like shooting the zombies and trying to survive and like going around and looting your environment for ammo and stuff was very fun. It was very immersive.
I thought for sure when you told me you were doing a PSVR game that it was going to be Horrorable.
Nope. It's a horror game. Yeah. I had bought this one for like $10 because it usually hangs around the $40 mark or something like that. And it had just been sitting in my library. So whenever we were doing this game talk, I was like, oh, I need to like find a good horror game to play. And yeah, so I dove into that one.
Have you tried Resident Evil 7 in VR?
I sure have, and that game's fantastic in VR. This game is I think this came out before it, because this came out in 2016 on PC and stuff. It was ported over to PS4, and then I think 7 came out. I want to say 7 came out in late 16 or something like that. So this is probably after that, I believe. But 7's a much better VR experience if you're looking for an actual horror VR game. But I think Arizona Sunshine was like an early example of like what could be done.
I remember when the VR came out, I was at my friend's house, and he unpacked it and everything, and he was like, "You should try the Resident Evil 7 demo." And I started doing it, and I just started laughing at it.
Oh, the one with the girl in the chair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, where you it's
And I
like a
think he
kitchen
got
demo.
really mad at me. And then when when we switched and he started doing it, and he was like, "Oh, this is so realistic! Like, I'm so scared." And I started prodding him in the arm with the stick.
And then now I haven't bought it yet, but I want it. They have the Walking Dead Saints and Sinners on VR, which I've heard is like a super it's like a really good survival horror experience in VR. So I'd be really interested in seeing that. But like I don't know, I kind of wanted to play Arizona Sunshine because I kind of wanted to see like what all the fuss was about whenever the VR first came out, and like this was like one of the games in the VR was first. I don't know, like really accessible that like people were like, oh yeah, this is like a great game, and I think it's okay. And it's in Arizona.
Did you have any trouble? Yeah, I appreciate that. We have that here. But did you have any trouble with like maneuvering the real world when you had your headset on and you're playing a survival horror? Like, do you jump up and hurt yourself or swing into things?
Oh no, the only thing I have issues with is that I think I had the settings wrong when I was playing, and I think I was slightly taller than I should have been because I had to like duck down at like every like door that that I was going up to. I had to be like, okay, there we go. So that was really inconvenient, but like no. And playing with the aim controller, I couldn't imagine playing this game with a regular PS4 controller or with the Move controllers because the aim controller it's just built for first-person shooters. Like it has 2 sticks for movement, something I had to go enable. They had like quick movement on. I guess it's to like alleviate any motion sickness, but like in a big game like this where you have to explore the environment, I wanted free movement on, so I went and turned that on. And it was a little weird at first getting used to like the sense of like moving back and forth without actually moving back and forth. And it kind of messed with me for a little bit, but I got used to it. But no, other than that, it's not too demanding when it comes to actually moving around. It's just mainly like using the controls to move your character. You're just kind of like in the perspective.
How long can you play in one sitting?
I think this one, my longest was 2 hours.
Then you got to be like, all right, I need to.
Yeah, I was like, okay, this is enough of this. But that's because this game is so like demanding with its movements.
Yeah.
Other games, I've played Beat Saber and stuff, like games where I'm stationary for a while. Like those games are pretty easy on me in VR. But like this one, yeah, it was just the motion. It gets to you after a while, and you're like, okay, I have to stop.
Dude, when they make Dragon Quest VR, I am all in.
Well, they got Skyrim. If you want to play Skyrim for the 100th time,
Of course they will. We haven't had enough version of Skyrim.
yeah, not enough Skyrim.
Dude, how crazy that those were not announced. I think that's the real strange part.
Oh, we know it's coming.
They're like, there's no announcement for Skyrim PS5.
It's coming. we know it.
It's not just going to be VR. It's going to be Skyrim 3R.
Skyrim 3R. Yeah, that would be. I was surprised. I assumed that was just going to be a 5-second thing. By the way, Skyrim.
Of all the genres for VR, I think horror has like the most potential.
For sure.
Yeah, because of the immersion. So I would really like to see, like I said, I know Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is getting a lot of praise right now. I haven't played it yet, but I would like to see where horror and VR goes. Going into like the PS5 and the newer generations and stuff. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I can only imagine this game portrays what it's like to live in Arizona.
Our zombies, I don't know what the zombies look like in that one, but our zombies usually have like Hawaiian shirts on.
Mm.
Okay. Do you have many mine tours?
We have his number, yeah.
Okay, well then I think it's pretty realistic. What about train?
You know, I went to a haunted hotel that we have, and
Yeah.
it's near a mine thing where a lot of people die.
Oh, hey, there you go. What
But
about like?
the hotel itself was actually it used to be a insane asylum.
Oh,
They converted it to a hotel.
like that was probably what I appreciated most about this was the locations because it was like these bright deserts, the mines. There was a refinery. There was a train area where like the transit crashed and stuff. There's like a lot of cool stuff that I don't really see in other horror games.
They should just had you guys go down Van Buren. That's our scary street.
Uh,
It's where a lady,
there's
a lady knocked on my window asking me if I wanted to have a good time.
I believe in one of the DLCs that I haven't played yet, and one of the DLCs you go to a dam.
Oh,
Yeah, so
Tell me, does the sun ever not shine in Arizona?
nope.
No.
It's always constant,
yeah.
So what's it like at night?
Sunny.
bright as hell.
Is the sun just like a little lower?
Yeah. It just has a frowny face on, but it turns around as the day goes on.
Is it the
You know what-
Mario 3 sun?
Because of, yeah, it just follows you. Because of the weird, like the fires in California, it's really awkward. Like I have a Nextdoor app. It's an app that it tells you like everybody in your neighborhood, and they kind of can post stuff. And the old people are like, "Man, the sunsets lately have been so beautiful because the sun is all red and everything." And it's because of all the fires in California.
Oh.
I don't want to tell them. I don't have the heart because they're probably gonna die soon. So I just want to give them a good time.
You heard it here first. Spencer's giving the old neighbors a good time. All right, that's the month of horrorable games. Game talk. Fabrizio, thanks for joining, man.
Thanks for having me. It was great talking with you guys.
Absolutely, we'll have to get you back on. Now, tell us,
Fabrizio, go ahead.
if you had to pick between one of these games, which would it be in a battle royale of a fight to the death? Clue Land or Columns?
Or Spectrobes.
He's not going to answer that.
This is an obligatory question. We have to ask all of our guests something about Clue Land or Columns.
Like Column, like that Sega game Tetris clone stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The one with the Russian theme song.
Because I despise Tetris games, so I guess the other one.
No.
Good choice.
Clue Land reigns supreme.
I was going to ask you, have you ever seen our map out and thought like you have a game that you think would be a great map? God, you look back at that, I'm freaking jealous. For the viewers that can't see, because I don't think any of them will, he has a freaking phenomenal. Go check out his channel because you're gonna see a phenomenal collection. It's getting me hard just looking at it. There's like a million games in there.
Well, to be honest, behind me, those are movies, not games.
Oh shit! What are you looking at then?
There are some games over there.
Oh, okay. So some of them are games.
In the middle of like all those movies, there are some games, so I'm looking. Well, we can of course talk about Breath of Fire. That's always a nice.
Spencer would love to.
Yeah, I know.
I probably could. I mean, I've gotten through most of it. On a vacation from hell, I played through most of it.
Also, like 3 and 4.
That I would love to do. I heard 3 and 4 are really good.
They're phenomenal. So you have to play those. Because I can admit, like the first one, it's rough around the edges, definitely. The second one, I think, corrected all the issues of the first one, and it's a really good story. But the third one and the fourth one, they're really, really good. That's where the series got really amazing. Even though I love the first two, But 3 and 4, I mean, I have big nostalgia, like boner for the third one because it's basically the game that introduced me to JRPGs. So I always loved it. But then, and it's a great game on its own. But then the fourth one really took everything the 3 did and made it better. So it's a fantastic RPG. And I really like the fifth one, even though it's controversial to say the least.
I believe you on that too, because in playing the first and the second one, I thought the second one was like almost from a different series.
It kind of is.
It's crazy how different they are.
Yeah. You can really see that this one was Capcom just like trying, let's make an RPG because they're the big thing in town.
Yeah.
Then it's like, well, let's take this seriously.
Yeah.
So that could be a good talk. Or what do we have here? Well, it's the Legend Hero series. It's big and there's a lot to talk. It's almost like the Marvel Cinematic Universe in video games, basically. So.
Do you think these games are like map worthy per se? Like you could like kind of map out the whole game?
I think so. Maybe. I mean, there's a lot to talk about them, so.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Who'd win in a fight, me or Spencer?
The what?
Who would win in a fight, me or Spencer?
No need to fight.
Oh.
The pacifists love it.
Oh, I love that. You didn't pick a winner.
Like always. Like always.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like always.
I
Ow.
didn't even tie that together.
Fabrizio's just gonna do every community response from now on and say,
Spencer-
actually, I like both of them.
Spencer has to deliver a public apology.
No, that's not necessary. And then like, that video, I took a winner. I took a pick. So.
It's true. It's true.
Oh my god.
Spencer asked, to be honest, but.
Spencer, have you checked your breath lately? Because I see a lot of fire.
Oh.
Yeah.
That will be the public apologies when Spencer maps out Breath of Fire.
Yeah.
And Alex and I just sit back and like, yeah. Yeah, no, I'd try it. I would dig into Breath of Fire. I don't know if I'd like it, but we'll see.
Well, the cool thing is you can kind of start wherever you want. So maybe starting with the first one, it's kind of a turn-off. So maybe start with 3 and 4, which are really good. Easier pills to swallow. Well, 2, it's very good as well, though. If it's more for the nostalgic Super Nintendo vibe, 2, it's a very, very solid 16-bit RPG.
Okay. I will bear that in mind. All right. Thanks for joining. Ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you later with more horrible content to come.
Horrible.
It's not horrible, it's horrible.
Horrible.
Can we all say horrible on 4?
Anthropomorphic.
1, 2, 3, 4. Horrible. I heard a clue.
That's what I said.
And anthropomorphic.
Yes.
Andropomorphic.
Andro, right.
Antopomorphic.
Right.
Anthropomorphic.
Thank you.